Welcome to the continuation of the story of Ianuul, the first king. If you haven't yet, please go listen to our previous interlude. Our next episode will release on Monday, December 9th. Check out netherrealm.com for more content. Death is an interesting entity. They cannot exist without life and were, therefore, born of life itself. So when the first being took its first breath in the first living universe, death awoke. And then, one living universe after another, death was born into existence by the spark of life. In this universe, life was created accidentally by the two gods, Yaset and Ramid, as they chased one another across the empty expanse. Each time they touched, something new was brought into existence. And upon their first kiss at what is now the center of the universe, life sprang outward and flourished. In that same moment, death arrived. Upon seeing what they created, Yaset and Ramid presented death with a name. Taish. Though death had existed in an infinite number of universes before this one, they had never been given a name. It was in this moment that death began to truly wake, to gain some semblance of consciousness. Before, they were a force that existed only as the antithesis of life. Now, they had a spark of identity. And it grew with each life they ushered into the void ever after, which was a kingdom of nothing. Eventually, Taish would observe the experiences of the living. They took on a form, a grim visage they deemed suitable for their task. Each life would always end, and Taish would be there to take them to fade away into the nothingness beyond. Many millennia passed. Eventually, Taish came to the conclusion that all souls should have a place to rest and come to terms with their fate before passing into the void ever after. Taish believed that this idea was born out of kindness. But death is neither kind nor cruel. They were, however, bored. And so they got to work on the drift. It took so much time immeasurable. But finally, the waves and the depths below were ready for the first soul. But Taish could not find a way to connect the drift to the void ever after. Perhaps that was a problem for a new millennium. For now, the souls of the living could sink beneath the waves into the calm embrace of the eternal depths. Taish walked through the infinite expanse of nothing that was their previous domain. It could not be abandoned. Someone must be there to watch. For Taish knew that in an infinite expanse there was at least some incredibly small chance that something could and would eventually happen. The void ever after, the kingdom of nothing, needed a king. Taish began their search. They observed every living soul and eventually found one that was suitable to the task. They found Ianuul, the king of the Osnaswer. When Taish brought Ianuul into the kingdom of nothing, they finally explained the cost of the deal the two had made years before.
This is the void ever after, your domain,
Taish explained.
You shall remain here, ever vigilant, and I promise you truth from now on. Whatever you ask, I shall answer plainly.
I alone? Ianuul asked.
Yes, though some souls may yet pass through here.
How do you not know?
I can see across all time and space, outward into the infinite. But there is more beyond that I have yet to view. You may find that reassuring.
I suppose I may. Will I continue to age?
No. Time will not affect you, but you will eventually gain some command over this realm. It will change you once it becomes part of you and you part of it.
Will I feel the passage of time then? Will I know that it's going by as I wait here for something, anything to happen?
You will adjust. This place exists beyond time, but your mind and soul cannot yet fathom that. An absence of time does not mean there is no past, present, and future for you. You are currently a linear being. It is, admittedly, difficult to explain in words you comprehend.
Will I go insane?
Yes. But part of your future is beyond what I have yet seen. You won't always be that way. Or your definition of insanity will change.
I think I understand.
Good.
Ianuul asked many questions, and Taish provided more answers that were outside of the king's comprehension.
You will eventually understand,
Taish explained.
It will just take time.
Even though time doesn't exist here.
Yes.
I think I need to be alone for a while. Can I call on you?
You can try. This is new to me as well. I swear to return regardless. Goodbye, Ianuul.
Before Ianuul could respond, Taish disappeared. Ianuul was alone. Truly and incomprehensibly alone. Except for his tether. Taish had not realized the king had created a link between himself and his withering palace of white stone in the world of the living. Ianuul dared not touch the tether. He did not understand the consequences before. He would not make that mistake again. So he waited, and his connection to his new realm grew. He found that he could briefly manifest physical objects, but it took what felt like an eternity to make even a grain of sand remain longer than the length of a single heartbeat. But he finally did it, and on that day he called out to Death. Death did not answer. Ianuul continued his work. He could eventually sustain multiple objects, but there was a limit. The king did not sleep, nor did he need sustenance, so he focused on his work. He was obsessed, and this obsession led to demonstrable improvement. The limit increased, and each attempt yielded greater results. Time and time again, Ianuul created more and more, but it was increasingly taxing. He concluded that the only real limiting factor was him. He tried so hard to expand his mind, to really understand this realm, his realm. But he didn't know what he didn't know. And so, after what felt like an eternity of trying, the king stopped his work. His mind returned to the tether, and he called out again to Death. "Taish, I need to speak with you." Death did not answer. Ianuul perceived the passing of time as he searched through the nothingness. He found no end to the expanse. He wondered if perhaps he went too far from where he and Death entered this place. Maybe Death could not find him anymore. He thought maybe he had finally done it. He had escaped Death, and it would be his ruin. More time passed, and Ianuul waited alone. Something within him changed, but he remained unaware. For a third time, the king called out to Death. "Taish, I need to speak with you." Death did not answer. A small piece of Ianuul's mind began to fracture. But this wound brought with it a small sense of awareness, something beyond his perception. The awareness grew, faint and fleeting at first, like whispers just beyond the edge of hearing. Ianuul focused on it, curious if this new sensation was the result of his own creation or something else entirely. The nothingness of his domain rippled faintly under his will as he tried to understand. And then, a response. A voice, soft and unfamiliar, broke the silence. "Do you feel it now, King of Nothing?" Ianuul's heart, or the memory of it, quickened. His eyes darted through the void. The voice came from everywhere and nowhere. "Who are you?" Ianuul asked the emptiness. "That question carries no weight here, for I am nothing, as are you," the voice responded. It felt different, wrong. It didn't carry the inevitability or calm that Taish bore. It was jagged, unfinished. "Show yourself!" Ianuul roared. The void rippled again, more violently this time. "I am here, Ianuul. I am what you have made." The tether. Ianuul's mind returned to the connection he had forged with his mountain, with the living world. He had not touched it, yet something else had. Something born of the crack that was slowly splitting his mind. "I made no such thing." "No? And yet, here I am, the tether, your tether, reaches into the void and beyond. Did you truly believe you could pierce the fabric of existence without consequence? You pulled me from the breach, King of Nothing, and now I grow." Panic surged through Ianuul. His tether, once a lifeline, now felt like a chain. His hands instinctively grasped at the strand of magic as though he could sever it with sheer will. "What are you?" he asked. "I am the shadow of your hubris, the fragment of what was lost in your pursuit of eternity. You sought to escape death, and in doing so, you made me. I'm what's at the other end." Ianuul faltered. The tether thrummed beneath his grip, alive with a pulse that wasn't his. "You do not belong here," Ianuul said in a voice barely above a whisper. "Neither do you," the voice offered. The nothingness that once felt infinite now seemed crowded, oppressive. Ianuul felt the weight of his actions pressing down on him, the tether vibrating with a force that threatened to tear him apart. "Leave," he said, a plea more than a command. Oh, King of Nothing, I cannot leave. I am bound as tightly as you. But worry not. Soon you will understand what it means to be truly alone. The tether is not your salvation. It is your undoing. It is the undoing of everything." The connection snapped, not broken but recoiling. The tether's magic surged, dragging Ianuul's awareness back towards the mountain of white stone. For the first time in an eternity, Ianuul saw the world of the living. The chasm he had created now bristled with magic, a sprawling wound that twisted across the land. The White Palace still stood, but his heir, his people, were nowhere to be seen. The tether pulsed again, and Ianuul felt the voice return, closer now, stronger. "This is but the beginning, King of Nothing. You thought to master death, but you have unleashed something far worse. I will return to you when a new kingdom rises." The vision of the living world slipped away in an instant, and the connection went silent. Ianuul stood alone in the void once more, but he was no longer the same. The weight of what he had done, what he had created, and yet did not understand, bore down on him. He turned his gaze outward, to the infinite nothing that stretched before him. "Taish," he called, his voice weak. Death did not answer. The king sat, and a great throne of nothing materialized beneath him. The tether pulsed faintly in the depths of his mind. At first it was dull and rhythmic, but it soon took on a familiar sound. Tick, tock, tick, tock. He would wait, as he always had. He would be acutely aware of each passing second. He would be truly alone. But at the far end of the tether, in the depths of the palace of white stone, something stirred. And all this time, Death watched.